So this is my third advanced. I've been studying and working with Joe for on and off for about 6 years, and about maybe a little over 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with a fungal infection in my lungs. It's called ABPA. So I've been on and off antifungals for that entire time, and when it flares up, you get a fungal pneumonia. I've been in the hospital a couple times from, bleeding from my lungs, and so it's a chronic condition that flares up. And over the years, you kind of learn to adjust and live with it. And I've been trying to work with Joe's work and work with my own set of beliefs, and trying to change my set of beliefs and change the old narrative of who I thought I was. And when I signed up for this one, I was determined to have healing as my primary objective, I guess. And ironically enough, like the Friday before I was to leave, Friday night before my Saturday morning, I have a new doctor. She's a medical intuitive. She tested me for cystic fibrosis because that's what she just felt, and I came back positive for that. So I'm like, great, call from your doctor at 8:30 at night. But I said, okay. She's like, just add it to the list of your healing, because she knew I was leaving. So the first day was amazing. Monday was amazing. I had such powerful meditations. I was really working the breath, really feeling it. And by the end of Monday night, I started to feel so sick. I started feeling flu-like and like drained and barely could eat. So I went to bed, and over Monday night, I started to get really, really high fevers. Really high fevers, and I started to get a jabbing pain in my right lung where most of the infection is and where all the scarring is, because over the years there's so much scarring there in the tissue. And I was very specific about my healing that night, Monday, was I wanted the tissue to repair and the fungus to go. So I was like in bed, and I'm like, no, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. And I woke up and horrible fever and jabbing pains, and I'm like, I can't believe it. So I took 2 Tylenol, which I don't normally like. My roommate's a nurse. She said, take the Tylenol, take the Tylenol. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go down and just sit in the room. I might not be able to participate, and it was really hard for me to do the breath. And I did want to ask Joe at some point, like, can I help will it up if I can't actually physically take a deep breath? Because at that point I couldn't take a deep breath with pain, without the pain. So I tried, and I did it. I slept probably for most of the meditations, but our challenge was right then. So I'm like, I don't think I can do the challenge. So I said, she's like, come out and support us. So I'm like, okay, and I'm feverish, and I'm out there, and so I'm like, after like the third person, I'm like, I'm gonna do the challenge. So I climbed up the steps. The hardest thing was I was feeling so weak, but I was just determined I was not gonna let this illness define me any longer. So I climbed up, I did the challenge, and every day, waking up with the pain, having the fevers, I had to like talk myself in every day to get myself out of the bed, and I was like thinking I was gonna have to be hospitalized again, and all this fear was coming in. My body was like saying, oh no, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And I was just, I'm not gonna listen to you anymore. I'm just gonna do it. I don't care if I'm like a zombie in the room, I'm gonna do it. So every day I did it, the fever got a little bit better, the pain kept getting a little bit better, and then I was chosen for the healing for the first day. And I'm gonna tell you, I was just so grateful, and I was like so happy that I was chosen. Like when I went to lie down, I was already in tears. I was just so grateful, and I was just so wanted not to have this disease anymore. And I just felt such an overwhelming sense of love and gratitude, just sitting down, not even with anybody around me, and I just knew that this was going to be life-changing. So when people came and sat around, I could barely see them because I had this scarf around my face because I was coughing all the time, and I agreed to the healing, and then we started. And it didn't take me long to go. All of a sudden my arm was going like this. It just was, and then my leg, and this, it was just, and I just felt this surge of energy, and it was the most intense thing I've ever felt. And then I felt like I had to cough like 3 times, I think. And as I coughed, my whole body just went up in the air like this. And like after the 3rd time like this, I just felt like a wave of guilt. Not so much, not guilt, loss, grief. My mother died when I was young. There's lung illness in my whole family. I felt like it was a whole ancestral line of grief just leaving my body like a tidal wave. And I'm like shaky now just thinking about it. And I was just like, and I heard myself, like I was crying so hard, it was like primal. Like I could not believe how, like it didn't even sound like me. I was like, and then afterwards I was like, is that me crying? Because it sounded like guttural and primal and that deep kind of letting go. And I wish afterwards I was crying and everybody was crying, and it was like, I just knew that I had a healing experience and that my whole life would change. And the biggest message I kept saying is, we're going to teach you to breathe again so you can teach others to breathe. And I was just so grateful, and we all cried and loved, and the pain went away. The pain, the fever, that was, I don't know what day that was, but I had 2 more days. I think it was Friday, I guess. Saturday and Sunday, I was able to do the breath without pain. I was able to like be here, be not a zombie walking in and just forcing my body one step at a time, left foot, left foot, let me just go there, get it out, you know. And you know, like Joe says, I released so much of that by just being present, that like after the healing, I swear for 36 hours, I was like, I couldn't sleep. Like I was just like, so like, oh my God, you know, it's just like, I had so much energy, you know. And it was just the most, I've done, you know, a few events, I've done 3 events, and that by far has been the most powerful experience I've ever had in my life. And it was life-changing, life-changing.